Hello and welcome to the Watermark Water Cooler. So happy to have you here with us today. We have Darby here with us. Darby, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do for Watermark.
Sure. I'm the senior digital consultant here at Watermark, hired on relatively recently. I have a background in digital marketing, for approximately 6-7 years, but I was more in the technical side and implementation. So I've been a strategist, I've been a specialist, and also managed some of these client projects in the past.
Yeah, you missed out some really cool things that you do on your free time. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so in my free time, my passion is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is,
we can
wrestle.
He probably beat me, so I'm a little concerned about that.
I don't know. You're my boss. You're probably win. But if you want to catch me on my free time, I'm either training jiu-jitsu or on the weekends now I play pickleball, which is really fun.
You know you're getting old when you start playing pickleball.
That's what everyone said. Like this, they're saying it's an old man sport.
I play with my kids too sometimes. So it's a fun sport. So that's cool.
It is fun. Yeah, I'm surprised at the amount of sweat I'm dripping from sometimes, but I think that's a technique issue.
Well, so we're here really to talk about this kind of consultative approach to marketing and sales.
Right.
And how important it is and how important we think it is. And I think that there's always been this conversation of like the sales funnel and, how you move people through the sales funnel. And, a lot of the conversation that we've had recently internally is like, how do we turn that around? And it's not just about the sales funnel and the ends once you close the deal and that's it, but it's also kind of about this like customer service journey and how we're making sure we're providing a really good product for our client. And they're turning into these, fans of ours, and that they refer new business, and they continue to want to do business, and we retain them as clients. So all that being said, what have you, as you say, you're a consultant. Mm-hmm. So like, what have you been doing, and what are kind of things that you think are really important to make that journey not this funnel and this kind of flywheel approach?
Sure. I mean, HubSpot calls it Smarketing, and it's really a collaboration between sales and marketing departments.
Yeah.
In a previous agency, I can think of one in particular. I won't say their name, but I remember that there was a huge disconnect between the sales department and the marketing department. So we would have our internal marketing kind of go out onto the web, and people doing their queries would end up on our site. They would contact our sales team, and our sales team actually didn't have any sort of marketing background. They kind of had a general idea of what our services were, but basically they would end up over-delivering, or over-promising. Yeah, over-promising.
Over-delivering would be
great. Yeah, that'd be great. They would over-promise, and then ultimately they'd close the deal. Great, but then we would get them on the fulfillment side. And they would have all these expectations that we really couldn't do or didn't do at all in the agency. And that would frustrate some clients. Some clients would just leave after the first month, or if there was some sort of, retainer contract or they're just waiting for that to end. Mm-hmm. And that's really not an effective way to do business in general, because you want your customers to stay, you want them to be happy, you want to be able to achieve the goals and not feel like they've been lied to. And ultimately those clients, if you are able to give them what you promised, then they're going to be more likely to not only stay with you but also refer you further business. And so I think a lot of the current meta thought in digital marketing is really focusing on the operations side of making sure that the collaboration between sales and marketing is effective.
Well, I think the other thing too that comes out of that conversation is it's okay to say no. And sometimes for salespeople, it's like really hard to say no because they're like, I gotta get the deal, I gotta get to close this thing, and so I totally understand that. Mm-hmm. I've obviously played the sales role too.
Yeah.
And so I totally get that feeling of like, I just got to close this deal. It doesn't matter. And so, I know Watermark we are more than willing to say no to somebody and be like, hey, this just isn't a good fit for us. We'll refer you to another vendor that we know, or like somebody that does this really well, a freelancer, whatever it may be. So it's just not a good fit. So like, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, last week, for example, I went to some networking event. I met a couple competitors, and there was a presentation. The presenter, again, she represented a competitor, and what they specialize in, though, in the print side of things, is they make these gift boxes, and inside of the gift boxes, they'll have like wine bottles or beer pint glasses, and they would send these to their top customers, or for the companies that hired them, they would do the same thing. They would target their customers, their current customers, and it's more of a thank you for the for working with us. And so I was very impressed by their product. And I know that Watermark, I think we create boxes, but we don't actually do the whole gift package thing at this time. The fulfillment of all those aspects. And so, but I kept it in mind, and then I went to the Denver Chamber of Commerce, and I was speaking with these gentlemen who own a very interesting business model that basically helps startups get funding. And one of the senior members of the firm kind of came up to me and was he's like, I had this idea of sending these a gift box to our top clients. And I'm like, well, I know someone that does that, and I just met them, and I saw what they can do. Let me connect you. And so they're emailing each other now, and hopefully things work out. So
awesome.
The goal of having a consultative process is really to help people reach their goals. And if we can't do that, then we're going to refer you to someone we trust.
Yeah, I like that. I think we kind of mentioned HubSpot is like, CRM and how important that is in the process. Yeah. How have you used that to help you in your sales journey?
Well, so far, I mean, as far as the CRM goes, for me, documentation is absolutely crucial, because eventually you kind of it's easy to get lost in your conversations and correspondences, and then in those situations, it eliminates a lot of confusion, but also the automation tools, which I'm still kind of exploring. It's got the potential to basically just save you a lot of time and heartache. And so I think overall, I mean, having a good CRM is crucial to sales.
In theory, I think that also brings it back to this conversation of it's giving a better product to our client or a potential client, because they're getting a better experience because you're following up better, you're getting reminders, you're getting like tasks that you can automate to yourself. So there's I think there's a piece of it too that's like, it's not just the active sales piece, but it's also the how are our operations? Are we doing a better job operating as a company, which in turn makes our client happy in theory.
Right. And it's wonderful having a integrated marketing and sales CRM into a single platform, because like you said, it allows you to understand what is happening on the marketing side, and how what's working, what's not working in terms of these funnels that we're creating, and from there making sure that transition of where they came from through our system, and then the way I will approach them is really dependent on the content they've looked at, and so the conversation can be more focused and customized to what that user and potential client is looking for.
So something we're backtracking here a little bit, but we kind of touched on it, was this sales and marketing conversation and how important that is, and something that we do. Just yesterday, we had a marketing sales conversation.
Yes.
Darby was in with the marketing team for our own marketing and having, good conversations about areas where we can improve. And because Darby has a background also in marketing, he was an implementer at one point in time. Right. It makes those conversations really good. But I think just because Darby was an implementer and maybe your sales person isn't or wasn't an implementer at any point in time, I still think having them in on the marketing call, the conversation, the meeting, whatever it may be, like through the whole process, is just a huge advantage because we know exactly what you're looking for. You know what the marketing struggles are. Like, hey, this is where we're having problems. I think that inner communication is just huge. So I challenge everyone, if your sales team isn't talking with your marketing team, have them in on those meetings.
Yep. And I think the less the salesperson knows about marketing, the more they have to communicate and be a part of these conversations. And the larger your organization, the way you have, the way your sales team interacts with your marketing team should be more standardized, because you kind of have to develop a really, like, eventually good coworkers, good salespeople, good marketers will figure out that it's important to work with each other, right?
Yeah.
But if each person understands that, that's fine. But on the other hand, like if they have different approaches on how they're figuring out how to work together, in a large organization, that can get lost. And it's very good to share your secrets, quote unquote, on success, right? So having group meetings initially to kind of figure out, okay, like this is what seems to be working, and people coming up with different approaches and what's worked for them, and creating that standardization, I think can really help.
Identifying MQLs and SQLs, like that's a huge, that's what the conversation should be a part of it, is like, hey, sales is saying a sales qualified lead to me looks like this,
right?
And marketing might be like, oh, well, I thought a sales qualified lead looked like that, and obviously there's a marketing qualified lead. Those two can collide if there's not alignment.
Yeah, sometimes the sales teams and marketing teams have a completely different buyer personas even, and that's a big issue.
If you don't have that figured out, build your persona.
Yes.
Do it early in the process. Make sure everybody's on the same page. But yeah, I mean, I've seen it so many times where the sales qualified lead, marketing is saying like, well, yeah, we're delivering good leads to you, and sales is like, well, yeah, these leads are terrible.
Yeah.
And you're telling you in marketing think it's a really good lead, and you're like, look at all these numbers we're getting, and sales is going like, well, that's great, but none of them are converting, and I can't even have a conversation with them because that's not what they're not looking for our service or whatever it may be.
Right.
So, well, this conversation could go on. As always, we try and keep these somewhat short, but I think we got a lot of good information. Thanks, Darby, for coming on the show. As always, please check the like button, subscribe to our channel, and if you have any questions, please submit your questions. We'd love to, whether it's a marketing question, we have plenty of people on our team that can answer those questions for you. A sales question, operations question, how we do things here at Watermark. We'd love to answer them. So, submit a question below. We will be more than happy to create a video on content. That's how we can make better content for you also. So, thanks, and we'll see you next time.